I would rather lose the sale than deal with this eBay buyer or this one or this one or the other 89 people that are on my block buyer list on the eBay platform. I kind of always just assume that most of us that resell on eBay utilize the block buyer tool. But recently I posted on Facebook the various reasons that I actually go forward and block a buyer on the eBay platform. From the comments on the post, it seemed like everyone had slightly different variations of reasons why they actually go ahead and block buyers. But there were even a few people that said that this was a complete waste of time and it hurt our reselling business. Their argument was that not only was this a waste of time, but it's not how real businesses operate. Now, I'm very interested in this idea here, and I want to talk a little bit more and share my opinions behind it. But before we get into that, I want to share the 3 different tools that I use to protect my eBay reselling business so that we are all on the same page moving forward. Those tools are feedback left for others, the block buyer list, and reporting a buyer on the eBay platform. I recently ran into this buyer here on the eBay platform. I sold him an item and he received it and claimed that it was broken. He sent me a picture. It didn't really look broken to me, but I went ahead and accepted the return. Shortly after that, he sent me another message claiming that the item was counterfeit. This was super interesting because he said that it was counterfeit because it was made in China. This product is made in China, it's manufactured in China, and it's a Chinese company. So I'm not really sure where he was going with this. So I decided to go ahead and look at his feedback left for others. The only way you can do this is you go onto the computer. You have to be on a desktop. It does not work on the app. Or you have to open up a browser in Chrome on your phone or on Safari on your phone. So you have to be on a web browser, not inside the eBay app. And then you simply click on the buyer's username. You click on their feedback. You click on one of the numbers in their feedback score. It doesn't matter which number, just click on one of the numbers. And then you sort to left for others. This is the feedback that they have left for other sellers on the platform. And oftentimes this can be very telling. And with this buyer in particular, I found multiple pages of him leaving a ton of negative feedback for other sellers claiming he never got the item, claiming that the item was counterfeit, claiming that the item never arrived, claiming that the sellers were criminals. He had every excuse in the book and he left a ton of negative feedback. So I kind of immediately knew I was dealing with a scammer or at least a bad buyer. The next tool that I utilized was the report to eBay tool. So once I got the item back and it was still in good working condition, I went ahead and reported the buyer for opening up a false INAD because I believe he did this in an attempt to try to get the item for free. So I went ahead and did this. To report a buyer, all you have to do is go on to eBay and in the search bar, type in report a buyer. Once you see that, they'll drop down and you can click on the drop down. You can also find this in a shortcut under your seller hub, but for me personally, it's a lot easier just to type in report a buyer on the search bar and use the drop down. From there, you got to find the buyer that you want to report. You select the reason and you fill out the information and you submit the report. Now, me personally, I don't think eBay does much with these reports. I honestly think that the majority of these reports go unread or they're just analyzed by AI. However, I do think that if a buyer gets multiple reports from multiple different sellers, then eBay may step in and start to actually look at the buyer's history. So I think it's important that we all go ahead and report these buyers because even if your report doesn't trigger the human to actually look at it, the next guy that reports it may actually do that. And to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't really want eBay removing buyers or sellers based on just one transaction, based on one side of the story. I want them to actually look at everything. So I think it is kind of a fair process that it's probably multiple people that have to report a buyer or a seller before any kind of action is actually taken, unless there's some kind of proof. So after checking the feedback left for others and reporting the buyer, the final step I do is I like to block this buyer. This means that the buyer is no longer able to purchase from me with that username. So once again, the easiest way to do this is go onto the eBay platform and type in block buyer in the search bar, use the drop down. You can also find this under your seller hub in the shortcuts, but for me, it's easier just to type it in. So type in block buyer, click the drop down. There'll be a big page there. You put in the buyer's username and you hit enter. There has to be a comma between them and that's it. You have now blocked that buyer. Now that we've covered the basics of how to look at feedback, block a buyer, and report a buyer. Let's talk about when I actually go ahead and block a buyer on the eBay platform. Some of the different reasons are opening certain return requests, opening an item not received case, sending multiple lowball offers, asking too many questions, or leaving negative or neutral feedback for me or for other sellers. For me, for opening return requests, it's kind of on a case by case basis, but I am not as lenient as I used to be. I used to be kind of lenient with this one and not really block buyers who return things. However, I've become more strict with this rule. I go ahead and block buyers that open INADs when the item is actually as described and they're just using that to force a free return. And I also will block buyers who I believe are renting the item or using the item for a period of time and then going ahead and returning it. I sell a lot of clothing, and it's one thing if someone orders a pair of jeans, they get it, they try it on, they don't fit, and they want to return it. That's not a buyer that I'm trying to block. That's a buyer that the jeans just didn't fit. The buyers that I'm going after are the ones that keep the jeans for 29 days, and then 15 days later, they go ahead and actually send the item back. It's frustrating because it ties up my money and it ties up that item for 45 days. And if this is like something that you could rent, like a pair of dress shoes or a video game or something along those terms, I am more likely to block the buyer. But once again, this is kind of on a case-by-case basis. The next one is item not received cases. I block buyers that open item not received cases because they have some kind of issue with their mail. If the item has a scan that shows that the item was delivered and the buyer opens up a case and says that they can't find it, they may have been a victim of fraud. I'm not blocking the buyer because I blame the buyer necessarily. I'm blocking the buyer because I don't want to deal with this in the future. If one package was stolen from them, there could be more packages that end up stolen from them. Now, while eBay does protect us the majority of times on these cases, it's just not a risk I'm willing to take. Now, this is completely different than someone opening up an item not received case when the package is just hung in the mail or it's stuck or it's still in process of being delivered. Those cases are times when I actually step in and help the customer. I'm not going to penalize the customer because the postal service was taking too long or the package got lost in transit. I'm only going to block the buyer when they open the item not received case when there has been a scan. I have to go and assume that that package was delivered and that they're either lying about it or that they were a victim of theft. The next one is multiple lowball offers. Now, if you send me one or two lowball offers, that's fine. I'm not going to block you over that. And in fact, I actually have minimums on all of my offers. So the majority of time, I never even see offers. Sometimes people counter offer, and that's when they can actually go ahead and do lowball offers, or they'll straight out message me a weird lowball offer. Now, if it's just a one-off, I might just decline it and move on. But if they continue to send me messages asking for it, or they start to play that game where I'm selling a $90 item and they send me a $10 offer, I respond back with something a little bit more reasonable. And instead of coming into some kind of middle ground, they go from $10 to $11 and then maybe $11.50. They're just playing a game. They're not a serious buyer, and that's someone I'm going to block. The next person that I block is people that ask too many questions. Now, if you send me a message and ask me a legit question, or you send me one question here or there, that's fine. But what I'm talking about is the person that asks very basic or multiple questions that could have easily been answered by looking at the description, photos, or the listing. If you're going to message me and say, what size is this shirt, when it says it in the title, it says it in the description and item specifics, then I'm going to go ahead and block you because you're not a serious buyer. You're going to be a problem buyer and you didn't take the time to actually look at the listing. I don't want you buying my items if you're not actually looking at my listings, because it's very important when I'm selling pre-owned items that the person has a good understanding of what they're actually going to get. So if I see this, I'm going to go ahead and block them, because if they didn't look at it once, it means that they're not going to look at the next listing either. Final category of people that I block are people that leave negative or neutral feedback for me, or multiple negatives and neutrals for other sellers. So if you leave me a negative or a neutral feedback, I'm going to block you. Even if I was in the wrong, I'm still going to block you. The reason being is that I will always make it right. So if I made a mistake, I'm going to refund you. I'm going to have you return the item. I'm going to take care of you. So there's no need to go that step further and leave that negative or neutral. I don't want to deal with you again, so I'm going to block you. The other category is people that leave it for other sellers. Now, if they've left a ton of positive feedback and they left one seller a negative feedback, that's not a problem to me. That's someone that maybe ran into a bad seller. Bad sellers exist just like bad buyers do. However, if your feedback is looking like you are the problem, I am going to block you instead of thinking that you ran into every bad seller on the platform. Now, there's some other weird cases that pop up here or there, or I get weird vibes from someone or whatever, and I may go ahead and block the person, but those are more rare. The majority of times I'm blocking people because they returned some kind of item under a false INAD, they rented an item, or they left negative or neutral feedback for a ton of different sellers. I don't think you should copy me. I don't think you should follow the same rules that I do. This completely depends on your category. It depends on what you sell and what risks you're willing to accept. If you sell enough items on the eBay platform, eventually you're going to get to the point where you can actually see problems and problem buyers before they ever exist for you. So go ahead and make your own rules, figure out when you want to block someone, when you want to look at it. But I do think that everything should be on a case-by-case basis. Just because someone opens a return request, just because someone sends you a message, I don't necessarily think that you should go ahead and block them. If they meet 2 or 3 of the criteria, maybe you should. If it's a really bad question, or if they're sending you multiple lowball offers, or you know that the item was as described and they returned it, those are the kind of buyers that I think we really should be blocking. Not just basing it on the fact someone sent me a message, I'm going to go ahead and block them. Now, there are 2 main arguments against blocking buyers on the eBay platform. The first one is pretty simple. The first one is, well, what stops them from opening up another account? There's no point in blocking this account. And it's completely true. If you block a buyer on the eBay platform, they can go ahead and open up another account. They can have a family member open up another account. They can check out as a guest under another account. There's multiple ways that they can get around the block feature. However, you can't protect yourself from everything. For me personally, a lot of these bad buyers won't even go as far to read the actual description. They're never going to go out of their way to create another account just to buy your item and mess with you, unless you give them a reason to mess with you. And the majority of the times when I block someone, they probably don't even realize that they've been blocked. They move on and go purchase an item from someone else. So I really don't think this is an issue. And I personally haven't ran into someone who was so frustrated that they got blocked that they went ahead, created another account just to go ahead and purchase from me, just to mess with me. But it is worth noting that just because you block someone doesn't mean that they cannot buy items from you. They can just simply open up another account. So it is a fair argument, but I think the risks here are very minimal, especially if you're not letting the person know that you're blocking them. I would never message someone back and say, I'm going to block you. I'm not trying to start an argument with a customer. I'm just going to ghost them and block them and move on with my day. The next argument that I saw that was being made on my Facebook post was that when we block customers, we are limiting the people that we can sell to. We're limiting our customer base. And to me, that's kind of the point of the block buyer feature. I actually do not want to sell to these people, and that's why I'm adding it to the list. I personally don't think blocking a few people here and there is ever going to hurt anyone's eBay reselling store. I do believe that the person making the argument was trying to argue the fact that if we're blocking buyers preemptively, that we may be catching some buyers that aren't actually bad, that aren't actually a problem, and that we shouldn't preemptively block buyers. Now, this is true. There are going to be some cases where someone might send you a weird message, send you a lowball offer, and maybe because you went ahead and blocked that person, you don't end up closing that deal, and that could have been a great sale for you. But if you sell enough on the eBay platform, eventually you'll kind of figure out who you want to sell to and who you don't want to sell to. I personally think that this number is so low that it doesn't matter. I actually counted how many block buyers I have on my list before starting this video, and it's 89. I'm okay losing 89 customers on the eBay platform. Even if half of them were good customers where the transaction would have went good, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with losing 89 customers, even if the majority of them were going to be good customers. I'm okay with limiting 89 sales or 89 potential sales to avoid some problems and headaches that I have personally run into previously. But there is absolutely an argument that if you go back and forth with lowball buyers, if you answer all the messages, and if you send offers back and forth, that you might end up closing a deal. The other part of this argument is that it's good for the algorithm to send offers back and forth, that it's good for the algorithm to answer all questions and messages. And I actually personally don't believe this anymore. I talk about it a little bit in this video here, but personally, I don't answer all questions anymore. I used to think that it mattered to the algorithm, but I really honestly don't see any correlation there anymore. And I find that my time is better spent focusing on finding better items and selling them for better prices to customers that actually want to buy them than going back and forth and answering what size a shirt is when it's already in the listing. The final argument that some people were making on the Facebook post was that if you do everything 100% correct, that the buyer doesn't have any reason to leave you negative feedback or return the item. So if you're a good seller on the platform, you shouldn't even be worried about this. I actually don't know what to say to this, because if you sell on the eBay platform and you sell enough items, I'm sure you probably have run into someone who tried to leave you negative feedback over absolutely nothing. I'm sure that you've probably seen someone open an INAD return just to get free shipping, or just because they didn't like the item, or they misunderstood how to use the item. There's a million different reasons that buyers do different things, and it doesn't always correlate to whether you are a good seller or a bad seller. This assumption that if you are 100% confident in the product you're selling and 100% a good seller, that you have nothing to worry about, only works if the buyer is 100% a actual, real, authentic buyer, not a scammer, not a bad buyer, not someone that just wants to mess with you or take out their bad day on a review for you. All of these arguments that the people were making against blocking buyers were made based on the fact that other companies do not go out and block buyers, that Walmart doesn't block buyers, that Amazon doesn't block buyers, that name the company, it doesn't go out and block buyers, and because they don't do it, we shouldn't do it. Now, I do think it's interesting because I do believe that Amazon has blocked buyers. I do believe that Walmart will trespass certain customers that become disruptive, whether it would be standing there and asking the cashier if they would take $5 for a $100 TV, and they stand there all day asking the same question. I think eventually Walmart would probably ask you to leave and not want to sell you the TV. It's also worth noting that it's very well known that small companies, service-based companies, will often raise prices for customers who are a problem. If you call out a plumber or a handyman or a roofer or a landscaper and you're constantly that problem customer for them, you may see a price increase. Or if they're coming out to give you a bid on a project and you seem to be a problem, they are going to adjust their price accordingly. So I don't think it's just eBay resellers that are blocking customers or limiting their customer base. Everyone in every company has a target customer base. Now, while they don't all have access to a block buyer tool like eBay does, I don't think it makes it wrong for us to use the block buyer tool, but that's just my opinion, and I'm super curious to know what you guys think. Do you go ahead and block customers? When do you block customers? And do you think that blocking customers is petty and it's just going to ruin our sales in the end? And if you enjoyed this video, I think you're going to love this one, so go ahead and give it a click.